Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide.
Hi, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
Here we are at the cusp of a new school year, if you haven't already started where you are. And we're here to ask you a big, giant favor. Please cancel your dress up, cultural appropriation, and or spirit days. Go to your special event calendar. Think about this episode and start replacing it with other types of events, please. I'm not saying have no events. I'm not saying don't commemorate things. I'm saying, what on earth are we doing? What? Okay.
It's so true though, because it makes me so angry. I think most of my texts in the beginning of the school year were because I was angry about some sort of spirit day that was going on that made no sense. Okay, so there we go. I can't. And we had to delay this topic because I was too hyped up.
She was so hyped up about this.
So bad.
She was so hyped up that I said, we can't talk about it yet. You're too emotional. I can't. So, all right, let's start with just overall the burden that spirit days are on families.
Number one, on teachers too, but number one, that is number one, because I've also had parents tell me, like, I can't buy another thing. Like, if we have it in our closet, he'll wear it. Okay. And I'm the same way, because like when you have 95 spirit days a year, I can't keep buying stuff. And I'm poor. Okay. Like, I'm a teacher. I don't make a lot of money. And that's not how I want to spend my money, is buying a 1950s outfit because it's the 50th day of school. Thank you.
1950s outfit.
True story. True story. Just saying, dress like a 50s, dress like you are in the 50s, the 1950s, because it's the 50th day of school.
All right.
Other schools have done dress like it's the 80s because it's the 80th day of school.
Okay. But I'm
just saying, no, I'm not buying a poodle skirt. Okay.
She's very emotional. I'm just going to propose to you that dress like the 80s, though that can be very costly for families, folks. So it's wrong.
Yes. Thank you.
It is not as bad as dress like you're 100 for the 100th day of school. As someone who is aging, I would like to stop the stereotypes having to do with being older.
Yes.
I don't know anybody who looks like those 100-day of school outfits. And
Thank you, Cindy, because they're bringing in walkers. Okay. True story again. They brought in walkers and had curlers in their hair. Okay.
I remember my children doing the 100 days of school. And it was like, they didn't dress up, but it was like, do something with any 100 objects.
Yes, that's more educational. Thank you for making it an educational day since we're at school.
You can be all right. You can be all right. My child and I took 100 pennies.
There we go.
And we glued it. I remember gluing it to poster board in the shape of the number 100. You're welcome.
Doing that educational thing for your son.
Okay. I'm an educator, but everybody was doing things. There were kids who did things with 100 cotton balls, 100 tissues, 100 things you would ordinarily could get in a home.
Yes.
Or cost $1 or less, right? Like we're not
cotton balls for nothing. Yeah.
Yes. And then all the children got a chance to bring their thing in and talk about what they made with 100 objects.
Yes. This makes sense.
Which is way better than putting gray bouffant wigs. If you're not old enough to know what a bouffant is, that was how my grandmother wore her hair, like a hairsprayed helmet. And then giving them a cane or a walker.
Yes.
I had a great aunt and a great uncle who never ever needed a cane or walker, and they lived into their like 90s.
None of my grandparents needed a cane or a walker.
So it's not true for every older person.
But not only that, there are younger people who also need the cane or walker. So now I think you're telling these people who are younger who need the cane and the walker that they are now, I'm sorry, you're old. You must be old because you need a cane, right? Like
I'm looking up ageist.
Okay. I was like, what is
She's
she
like,
doing?
what is she doing?
I'm like, we usually don't text people during our podcast.
I'm not
Cindy.
texting. I'm not texting.
What is she doing? She distracted me.
Ageist.
Mm-hmm.
Showing prejudice or discrimination on the grounds of a person's age. A lot of ageist jokes about not being able to use technology and things like that. Folks, when you dress a child up in some sort of caricature of what it is to be older, that's teaching them stereotypes. That is making a joke out of people who have lived a long time. That you can do other things for the 100th day of school. Stop the ageism. When we ask families to dress their children like it's the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, they may or may not have this stuff. I remember something.
You're not going to have this stuff.
I remember something from when my kids were young. There was, for some reason, a day, I don't remember why, but there was for some reason a day like dress as your favorite sports team, which was fine for one of my children who's very athletic and thoroughly enjoys sports. My other child, not so athletic, could take or leave sports. Okay. So my child who was not leaning into sports, but did have other things he enjoyed. He didn't have those things. He didn't want the jerseys and this just wasn't him.
Not to mention jerseys are expensive.
They are. But when he was young, so we're talking now about 25 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
And they sent a thing home saying, dress your child as their favorite team. We all just looked at him. First of all, he doesn't have a favorite team. You're assuming that.
You're assuming.
And so what we had to do was grab things from my husband. Like, I think he went in with a Yankee hat and we were like, here, carry this bat. I don't know what to tell you. He didn't, he didn't have it. And it wasn't the season necessarily where you could easily get these things. And let's just say my husband wasn't dressing him like another team.
Yeah.
So, there was that. I remember that episode where we just stared at him like, what do you want to dress like?
But what was the point of that? See, so like I know many schools, they have like the anti-bullying week, like in October, or I think it's in October. And they'll do these things like dressing camo I don't even know what to hide from bullying. It's like, is that really teaching them about anti-bullying stuff? I'm not kidding. Like one of the districts I worked at, dressing camo, dress in red, red means stop. So stop bullying. That's not teaching them about how to be like an upstander, as they say. You know what I mean? That's just like, you're just dressing.
No, you need to practice putting your hand up and saying stop.
Not dressing in red because red means stop, or dressing in camo that was like true story a couple districts ago. Like that's what they would do. Like it's not teaching them anything.
Okay, keep in mind that it's more of a burden than a pleasure for families. Also, a lot of what we dress children up as, especially around things like holidays, is cultural appropriation.
Do you want me to get started on that?
Cultural appropriation is when we take the customs, traditions, and artifacts from other cultures and use them as if they are our own.
Yes. That's
not okay. It's not all right to do these things that take other people's cultures and promote stereotypes. What did you have an example of the promoting stereotypes? You're making a sound though.
I was thinking so many things all at once. You did about Cinco de Mayo.
I did.
I think
I'll tell it in a minute.
I think this happens a lot though, just in our culture. And I think that's why, like St. Patrick's Day, that's an Irish holiday. If you are not Irish, you shouldn't be dressing like a leprechaun.
Okay, you should never be dressing like a leprechaun.
Be dressing like a leprechaun. Okay. But I've worked at schools where they have this countdown to the winter break. Now, winter break has a few holidays in there, but all of that countdown was mostly Christian oriented things. And that really bothered me, even though I am a Christian person. I was like, we should be doing this because I have a child in my class who's Muslim. We have Jewish people who work here. Like, I don't understand why that happens.
That's a little different than cultural appropriation.
Still,
that's like a lack of cultural sensitivity.
That's it's maybe more culturally insensitive.
It's culturally insensitive.
Maybe we should go into that later then.
Yeah, we'll go into that.
Yeah. Why don't you tell your Cinco de Mayo story? Because it's such a good example. And true, people, true.
You can't do things like say you gave the example of St. Patrick's Day, though a lot of people dress in green that day. I have to tell you, I never do because it's not my holiday and I always forget. I'm going to be honest. I always forget. I don't dress in green. Whenever somebody says to me, where's your green? I look at them and say, I'm not Irish.
Right. Thank you. I am. My mom and my grandmother are Irish. She has this thing like you have to wear green or it's bad luck for the whole year. Right. So like I do, but it's my culture. So it makes sense, but it's not yours. So
it's not my culture.
It shouldn't matter if you wore green or not. Right. Like that's what I'm saying. But so many people have this, like, they look down on you.
Yeah. Where's your green? Where's your green? I don't,
it's like,
I forgot.
Irish. So of course I wouldn't remember, you know.
I was recently speaking with somebody who is Irish.
Yeah.
And she's like, she was telling me the stereotypes that she fights against on St. Patrick's Day, especially having to do with drinking. She said, I have to tell you, she said to me, when I was growing up, you know what we did on St. Patrick's Day? We went to church.
Yes. It's a religious holiday. It's a saint.
It is.
Patrick's Day.
You know, if Irish people want to do all that, it's their culture. They can have it. I think
most of the people doing that stuff, like all of like the drinking part of it or like that kind of stuff, are not the Irish.
It may or may not be, but I feel like I don't need to eat a green bagel to be American on St. Patrick's Day. Anyway.
Correct. You are 100% true. That I don't get that.
And it's not that I'm not fun, folks. I'm lots of fun, but I would like, I don't have to be the everybody. I can be my own culture.
Right.
So like Cinco de Mayo, for example. No, we should not be passing out sombreros and
true story
and making ponchos and making mustaches because that's a stereotype. And I'm thinking of all the Mexican people I know, and I do know Mexican people. None of them walk around
dress like that. The ones I know do not dress like that.
No, we're promoting stereotypes. We're promoting stereotypes. And we have talked before about Thanksgiving and ensuring that we don't dress children in Native American garb. That is their religious garb. And yet I still hear of it happening less frequently, though. People have sort of caught on to, we shouldn't do this. But I think one of the reasons that they caught on to it is not out of respect for people's cultures. It's because of all the information that we have right now about how we stole their land. So I think people are understanding that the Thanksgiving feast is not what we were taught when we were young.
Yeah.
It did not happen that way. This was not, it was not. And we have to think about why are some of this cultural appropriation and dressing up in stereotypes has to do with some of the things we've done for parades, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's just an overall, it's sort of like an overall melting pot thing. Like I grew up with the notion that America is a melting pot. The United States of America is a melting pot, and we come and we meld all our cultures. But see, we don't need to do that. Everyone can own their own culture. I'm not saying don't acknowledge Thanksgiving. I'm not saying don't acknowledge St. Patrick's Day. I'm not saying don't acknowledge Cinco de Mayo or any other days. What I'm saying is have people from that culture, if you know any, come in, read a book about it, talk about it.
The traditions of that holiday. Yes.
Monitor what people are going to do is my advice. You have to say, when people are coming in to talk about a holiday, you have to say to them, what is your plan for when you come in? Can we please know what book you're reading? If they say, well, I'm going to bring a craft, you have to tell them, I have to make sure that this craft is within our policies.
Yeah.
Right? Our policies state that we are culturally responsive and inclusive. So can I please know what you're going to be making? I have to make sure it's within our policy.
Yeah.
The title of the episode is The Dress Up and Spirit Day Nightmare.
Yes.
It's a nightmare in so many different ways.
Different ways. Can we please just cancel Spirit Days?
You want to just totally cancel Spirit Days. I think you can have a Spirit Day. I think you can have a Spirit Day without the demand that people come up with costumes.
Okay.
You can just have a fun school-wide event where you invite people and you have obstacle courses and you have food and you have
fun, but eliminate the dress up part of it. But I think when you hear Spirit Day, you often think like, oh, we got to dress up like something. And please stop making so many of them. I can't. There's so many of them. Like we don't need an excuse to do that. Like I work at a school with like constant excuses to dress up as something. And I'm like, no, could we just stop?
I just thought of another example of something. A school was having crazy hair day. All right. A school was having crazy hair day. Several of the children came in with their hair styled in ways that other cultures might style their children's hair. No, just no to that.
Just no.
No.
Because now you're telling an entire population of people that their hair
is crazy.
Crazy?
Yeah.
That's wrong.
That's what it said. It said, your hair is crazy. Look at what I did with my hair.
Yeah. That's messed up.
It is messed up.
It's really messed up.
So, and there are people I know who hear this sort of episode or this sort of information and say, well, we're not allowed to do anything anymore. That is not true. What I'm saying is don't do the things that are insensitive. Mm-hmm. Come up with another way to unify your program, to have a fun day.
Yes.
Come up with a way that doesn't impede on people's wallets, time, and cultures.
Yes.
Have things that the school does that are just neutrally kind of fun. Yeah. Can't a school spirit day be that sort of thing that I described? Can it be whichever families can volunteer, come in and have fun game booths like you would see at the shore?
Like a carnival-y kind of thing.
Yeah, like a carnival. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Can't we just sort of have a carnival? Can't we just sort of have a lot of schools do cultural feasts? What can't that be done during Spirit Week?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Can't we say, it's Spirit Week, so we're going to get, I don't know, pizza for every class Spirit Week, and we're going to come together and we're going to eat in the gym. And folks, there are other ways to do these things that bring joy and unity to a program.
Yeah.
Just because it's been done for 20 or more years doesn't make it the right thing to do.
Right.
Don't we know that already?
Yes. Yes.
And for those of you who are listening and saying, thank goodness for this episode, because these days just make me cringe.
Yes.
You need to take this episode, share it on your social media.
Please do.
Give it to people, spread it far and wide. It begs the question, what on earth are we doing?
Yeah. What are we doing?
I don't know, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. Okay. So next week is Labor Day. Mm-hmm. We are releasing a new episode.
Yeah.
If you are busy on Labor Day and cannot listen, we highly encourage you to listen on another day, because we're going to be talking about what sensory experiences are and are not. That's the plan anyway. Sometimes technology goes awry.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes technology goes awry, but keep an eye out because that episode, should we release it next week, is going to make you laugh and maybe cry a little. I don't know, but
I won't be as angry. This one, yeah.
maybe.
No,
we
maybe
also
not.
have a very special shout out in the next episode. So
Me
come for
too.
it. Come for it.
Yeah.
And if you want to see the video of that episode earlier than everybody else, I'm not saying how much early, but if you want to see it earlier, like over the weekend at some point, download the Spaces by Wix app. Go into that app and look for our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com. I always put the videos on over the weekend rather than Monday morning. And if you're having trouble finding us on that app, all you have to do is go to our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com. There are instructions on there.
Yeah.
You'll find Spaces by Wix in the menu. Click on that, tap on that, and it'll give you instructions and a code for getting in there if you need it.
Yeah.
Okay, preschool peeps. Have a good week leading into Labor Day. And we'll see you hopefully next week, or you'll be listening to us hopefully next week.
Bye, peeps.